Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Monday Moohead Radio. I'm your host, the Big and Furry Bovine. With me is Bronk, David Talevsky in the studio with me, and
Yeah.
we're waiting on Tony the Calf, who's trying to get into the studio, but his massive frame is wedged to the door. No, we're having a little technical difficulties with him, and we'll see what's going to happen with that. We start out the program today. There's two things, and always two things this time of the year. There's the Browns and the Guardians, and we're starting with the Browns because there's more to talk about than there should ever be to talk about the Guardians. A little update. Okay, now maybe Tony is going to try this and see if he can get it done. Are you there, Tony?
How does this sound any better?
Oh yeah, this sounds great. Great.
It's my tablet. Sorry.
You were trying to just do it on the tablet, and that stands to reason. Let me. I'm just back off your mic just a little bit.
Yeah, it's coming in a bit hot.
You're coming in hot right now, and we'll just move on with the show while you adjust your settings. More Browns injured. Jerome Ford hopped off the field. It's a hamstring injury. Bye. And this is the guy we're counting on to play the Kareem Hunt role. And the one they were saying was going to be given third down carries as well as other times on the field to help take the load off Nick Chubb. And hamstring injury. You're not going to see him in the preseason. If you're lucky, you'll see him week one, but he's not going to get any more practice in. That's it for him. But that's not all. If you said, well,
that's not all.
That's enough. But
But wait, there's more. There's more.
Yeah, there always is. Drew Forbes was carted off with a back injury today.
Oh, he's hurt every freaking year.
But they all are. The point is, this is what happens every year, and it will attack the positions we can least afford. I'm not really worried about Drew Forbes, but this backup running back thing is a big deal. If you
I got an idea that Anthony Berry will do. He'll make Anthony Schwartz the backup running back.
Oh my God!
Well, and it sucks because it's exacerbated because you guys have a fucking fifth preseason or the fourth preseason.
Who masturbated?
Exacerbated.
Oh,
SAT word.
Sorry.
That's a big word.
I was wondering what the hell you were talking about, Tony.
Sorry, my arms are tired.
God Almighty, God help each and every one of us. Amen. All right. Okay. So those two guys hurt, and we've got more guys hurt than that. Now it's the pass rushers where we can afford it the least. Alex Wright and Isaiah Thomas both suffered significant knee injuries and will miss extended time. Let me tell you about significant knee injuries. It's only two possible things: an ACL done for the year or a torn meniscus done for 8 weeks.
Like Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, I mean, so I can't think of any other significant knee injuries besides those two things. Alex Wright and Isaiah Thomas were supposed to be guys who were going to come in and spell the two guys we've got. Now they're gone. Here we go again.
Wow.
This conditioning staff is terrible. They need to replace their entire conditioning team.
I don't know what is the reason for all of this. I know that part of the reason is they've shortened the preseason. They've amped the rate up to everything. We got Hammer time in here. Hi, Hammer. How you doing? It's nice to have a nice round table as things start becoming. Well, things are becoming
practicing. Are these practice injuries, or did that horseshit field in Canton the other night have anything to do with it?
I don't know. I hope the field was better than the lighting. Yeah, that was it looked like Tom Benson on a bender, is what it
Well,
looked like.
something about the showers didn't work either. Imagine
Oh,
that bus
really?
Right back to Berea. Ooh.
Wow. Then I mean, what happened to all the hose after the game? Never mind. Well, they need to be hosed down before you touch them, for God's sakes. And you got to check your wallet after they leave. My goodness. But Alex Wright and Isaiah Thomas, you say, well, in and of itself, those players aren't the greatest players in the world. But you don't understand. We don't have backups for them. That's the problem.
Oh, is that why I saw us signing some no-name guy, Titan defensive end from UTEC?
Yeah,
South
right.
Africa or whatever.
For the University of Tallahassee in the Ukraine,
San
or
Antonio.
wherever.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
That popped up on my feed. I go, why are we signing this clown for?
whenever you see that happen with the Browns, and it's true with any team, I suppose, but you see this, what seems to be, kind of an odd thing. It's like, why now? Then the next day, the story breaks, that, a leg amputation or something. So here we go again. So our pass rush is going to be affected during the course of the year. Myles Garrett can barely play the downs that he plays.
Yeah,
the man
without
has a breathing
dying.
problem.
Yeah.
He has some kind of a problem. And, again, I don't know what to tell people except Jim Giles has it correct. And I'll flash him up here. That
You'll flash him.
depth-
Don't do that. That's not appropriate.
No, not like that. I mean, and
Oh, it's happened a few times on this program, to be fair.
depth's always haunted the franchise.
No.
And again, I hate to be this close to a season and have to be hoping for trades to come up, but you don't have the problem with the Cleveland Browns is always the same thing. They're not getting help from lower down in their draft. Have you figured it out yet, Hammer Time?
Yeah, this is the last time. I think I finally got it. figured out.
Excellent.
I tried on
Excellent.
the phone. I tried on the computer. I'm clicking buttons. Yeah.
I
think-
tried my tablet. I tried my phone. I tried my studio. I tried.
I got nothing.
God
going.
only knows. Volleyball nets. I tried whatever the hell there was, and none of it worked.
All this fakakta stuff here.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it if it's like not an injury like the Browns, like their defensive depth? Like, didn't Perion Winfrey like beat the shit out of a woman or something?
Oh,
It's
well,
just
yeah.
like-
I-
Gone. Yeah. He
The
left.
guy
Well, he did.
shows flashes and then he just commits domestic violence. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, if there is a player that the Cleveland Browns get their hands on in the draft that drops in the draft, right?
Yep.
And he has some kind of a problem.
Yep.
Connie Manziel, excuse me. Something got caught in my
I got a
throat.
better one for you.
Josh
Antonio
Gordon, excuse me.
Antonio Callaway.
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 Kelly Winslow.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, how did he fall in our lap?
Because nobody fucking wanted him.
Oh God,
Brady Quinn, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, he's
Brady
pretty.
Quinn
Leave
never
him
did
alone.
anything to anybody. He just didn't do anything for anybody. But be that as it may, yeah, every guy who drops in and Cleveland steps in and says, "We'll take a shot at him." It's a wasted draft pick, and it all kills our depth. When the cuts come down, and this year it ain't like other years. They're referring to it in the chat room here as the cut down frenzy.
Yeah.
Throw down a bottle of beer. It's just going to be a hard situation for Cleveland to field a balanced team, and it doesn't matter who their coordinators are. You can try to get guys to play your system as best you can, but if you're always playing with secondary talent, very hard to win. And the fact that they're not saying what the significant knee injuries are. I loved what was said about Jerome Ford. This is Kevin Stefanski. He'll be back. Well, what the fuck does that mean? He'll be back. I mean, he didn't get hit by a train and it severed his leg. Yes, he'll be back, but how? What grade strain are we looking at? And of course, Kevin Stefanski would answer this way. Well, we're not going to give any advantages to the Bengals, in week 1. He might be playing and he might not be playing. And meanwhile, Joe Burrow is sitting there laughing his ass off, saying, like it's going to matter if Jerome Ford plays or not. That's going to be a game changer. Oh, I just wish this would stop. Alton, no, what Brady Quinn was known for more than being the brother-in-law of AJ Hawk was that he was for a period of time dating Dick Vitale's daughter.
Shit.
Oh, baby.
Is that true?
That's true.
Oh, shit. Wow.
That's true. And I'm not going to say anything bad about it because I didn't know. I actually saw her from afar because Dick lives in the same area that I live. And when he had his family together. And he made a point of coming to me and asking me how Brady Quinn was looking. And this was in his first year before he ever stepped foot on the field. If I had any word in how he was looking at in practice and all that, because he knew I did this. And I asked him why he was interested, and he told me that was the reason. So,
wow.
So that's for me what Brady Quinn's famous for. Very good-looking young man. He did end up marrying somebody else, and he's doing some broadcasting now. Back then, he was obviously doing broad chasing, but he ended up in broadcasting, and so he can analyze everything that other quarterbacks are doing wrong.
Yeah, he's probably more prettier than Matt Leinart is, and that's being very pretty.
I don't know. There's some pretty there going on.
Yeah, Brady Quinn works for Fox Sports now, I believe.
Yeah. He doing, and what about Rob? I mean, here you go. It's his football season when I'm broadcasting. It's just that nobody cares what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's right. So you'll see
the Cavs and the Guardians in January. Nobody else is listening to this.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the fun of doing the show. Is if I have nothing to talk about, I will end up saying some of the most ludicrous things, and it really is worth listening to.
And I'll egg you on.
Yeah, I mean, nothing gives me more of an open mic feeling than a zero audience. You know what I mean?
Well, and the other reason why I said January is because the Browns are not playing in January. So yeah,
right.
We don't have to talk about.
We're only playing in January because it's a 17-game schedule.
Yeah.
and it didn't take the Browns long to do something about this. By golly, we added an edge defender, and boy, did we need one.
Who is this guy?
Charles Wiley.
Ooh, Wiley,
practice squad guy from somewhere. He's a warm body.
Undrafted rookie by the Ravens last season out of UTSA, University of Texas at San Antonio.
A good season last year, so
Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier. University of Texas in San Antonio.
Remember the Alamo.
I don't know why now his name has me thinking Charles Nelson Riley.
And you know what it had me thinking?
What?
Wiley Fox. No, Wiley Coyote.
I thought that too, actually.
Yeah. The oh shit look, when he realizes he's blocked at the line of scrimmage and can't get anywhere. Or he just is automatically combustible on the field because he thought he could bring sticks of dynamite to get around the edge and they end up blowing him up.
Yeah, he's got a little rocket on his back that he lights with a fuse.
Wiley Coyote, but Charles Nelson Wiley. I mean, that was like, I just think I'm gonna rush the quarterback, but I hope I get to chip the tight end. I don't want to think about Charles Nelson Riley, please.
Wow.
And then this, to make room for Charles Wiley.
Make room.
Yep, they waived Rashawn Henry, a wide receiver. Who in the hell was he? We hardly knew ye.
Yeah, he definitely had nowhere to go. So
yeah, but these replacements, Wiley, by the way, is 6'3", 251 pounds, and he joins Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, and Agbo Okoronkwo, who Agbo the clown. That's the only thing I think of. I don't know what to call him. Okoronkwo, I think is that's phonetically what it spells. I'm just going to call him Agbo. And when he makes a mistake, he'll be Agbo the clown. But at the time that they announced this, that Wiley is coming to town, Wright and Isaiah both sat out Sunday's padded practice with injuries. But now we know the extent of the injuries as being significant. And defensive tackle Maurice Hurst II.
That's a great name.
Great name. Patty's brother. Okay.
Yeah, Patty Hurst.
Sat out Sunday after playing in Thursday's game.
He used to play with the Symbionese Liberation University.
Yeah.
Wow. This show
San Antonio.
Really to the young demographic, don't we here?
Yeah, I mean, I can see. I got to look that up as a reference. Symbionese Liberation Army. What was that all about? And why did Moohead say at San Antonio? I don't understand what he said. You'll put it all together, folks. At UTSA, Wiley notched all of 36 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 5 hurries. There's no game film on him because people in Texas couldn't figure out how to work the camera.
Is he like from Stump the Truck? They actually we got a Stump the Truck guy.
I mean, the scary part is that he might play. That's
he'll play in the next preseason game for sure. Because they're still going to sit a lot of starters. You think Garrett is going to get in a preseason game?
No. I mean, what's the big deal of being able to rush around Lotka? I don't understand it either, Rick. That's the taxi squad, yeah. But I mean, we're down to Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, and Agbo, and one more of them is going to go down with a significant injury. It's just it just doesn't stop, and it's unfortunate for the team. And I love this article. If Jerome Ford isn't returning kickoffs for the Browns, who is?
Who is?
What in the hell does it matter? They've all but phased out. I mean, now, if you catch the ball anywhere inside the 25, you can get it on the 25.
Yeah. If anybody does, it'll be Grant if he makes the team. So
right. But Jerome Ford isn't going to be running anywhere anytime soon. So it doesn't really matter. But kickoffs, punt returns are actually more significant than kickoffs because so many of the kickers, if they kick it at all 1 or 2 yards deep, only a fool brings it out, especially if you play for the Browns when you don't have any speed. So that's that. And I can't believe that they were saying that Jerome Ford is a candidate to return kicks. He's too valuable as a running back, and now you're going to find out.
Well, he didn't get hurt last year on a kick return. That was because he had a couple of really good kick returns, and he ended up getting hurt on one of them, and that put him out for quite a while. So,
like the Swallows from Capistrano, there's the Reverend Kowalski.
Or the Buzzards from Hinckley.
back again. Yeah, you never know when it's enough, do you, buddy? It's good to see you, Rev. It's we're a very tight knit group. That's
we're
kind of the way we are.
Dysfunctional group here.
Why is he pimping Jose Ramirez? Because he decked Tim Anderson.
I want to hear about this because that
was a beautiful thing.
Down goes Anderson. God bless Tom Hamilton. God bless Tom Hamilton.
Yeah, the ESPN call is pretty good, and that explains why all the other people on the Guardians got suspended, including Clase and Tito. There's a whole bunch of people get suspended, but Tom Hamilton yelling, just going straight into boxing mode was classic.
Straight Howard
oh, yeah.
Cosell on
It
it.
was kind of, down goes Anderson. I mean, he just cold clocked them. It looked like, I mean, oh my goodness.
And Anderson definitely deserved it. Let's be honest. I mean,
Well,
he was mouthing off to
All right.
every rookie on the field.
For the only idiot in the room who doesn't know what happened, can somebody just explain to me?
Yeah,
what
all
happened
that.
on
What
this?
happened was it was a situation where Ramirez stole a base. He went into second base. He was on the bag.
No,
And
it was a double. He
A
was
double. That's
he hit a
right.
double,
He
yeah.
beat the throw. That's right. Beat the throw on the double, slid in, and holding the
He
bag.
put his. I think he put his hand up to see if Anderson would help him up, and Anderson said no. And then all of a sudden, fucking punches are being thrown.
Well, no. What happened was he pulled him off the bag.
Oh, did he?
He kept the tag on extraordinarily long as well. It was like he was playing with them, and they did do the interview, via translator. But he says because Anderson is a disgrace to the game. He doesn't respect it. He does this to everybody, and it was about time. I wasn't going to put up with this stuff.
But
And-
he threw the first punch. And
That's why he got 6 games instead of
backing away, and of course, like a coward would. And it was this far. I can't even do it in camera range. This far from hitting him, and yeah, he got caught, man.
Josie throws a right hook and just hits him right on the chin and drops him. He looked like Tyson and Douglas, baby. It was like he was searching for his mouthpiece on the
He
ground.
wasn't Trevor Burbicking.
It was Trevor Burbick in a Bonanza or whatever in Cleveland.
Wow.
Yeah,
It was oh my goodness. But the Hamilton call and of course, the vendors in the Cleveland area have jumped all over this, and I have a down goes Anderson shirt on the way with Josie standing over him.
Well, looking like Muhammad Ali.
It was. It does exactly what the picture looks like.
I was thinking to myself, what would it have sounded like on the play-by-play if it were Dwayne Stat? It would sound something like this, because there would be no cleverness involved with it. All right. It would go like this. And for those who are listening for the first time, Dwayne Stat is your play-by-play guy for the Tampa Bay Rays, which I live down there half the year, and you can't help but listen to him. Yeah. The only way I'm going to watch the games, if the Guardians are playing, I'm going to have to watch Dwayne Stat. So he would say something like, "You're not going to believe what I just saw. Tim Anderson got the shit kicked out of him. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody kicked his testicles right up into his lower abdomen." There would be nothing. Unreal.
How would Tommy Heinsohn say that?
Oh. All I can say is this. 2 black guys, okay? I don't care. You can say Hispanic. You can say whatever you want. This is what happens. Do I care who hits who? I was happy to see just one of them go down. That would be Tommy Heinsohn.
That'd be what he'd say.
The racist Tommy Heinsohn. I'm an Irish Catholic guy, and I don't understand anything but Havlicek and Bailey Howell.
Bailey?
What if Peter Atlas called it?
Oh, he's going to have to pick more than himself up. No, he's got to pick up his pride. Oh, Tim Anderson, you should never have thrown a punch moving in the opposite direction, and always remember to duck. Oh.
Oh.
Now, this is a little bit. There is one more thing I wanted to mention about the Browns before we move on. Cornerback Gavin Heslop and tackle Derek Kelly II were also added
Derek
Heslop.
Kelly the second.
Yeah, well, get this. Heslop is officially in his second season out of Stony Brook. Stony Brook.
Where is Stony Brook?
For some reason, I want to say it's in Pennsylvania, but I couldn't tell you for sure. Why
I
doesn't
think
somebody
that's
look up
Slippery
where?
Rock.
Oh, I think you're right.
Slippery Rock's in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Isn't that a beer? No, that's Rolling
That's
Rock.
Rolling Rock.
Fraggle Rock.
Where is
Froggo
Stony
Rock.
Brook?
Stony
Oh,
Brook
how
is
would
in New York-
Ironside
it's in
say it?
New York State. It is
New York.
Uh,
Okay.
somewhere in New York State.
Oh, all right.
Um,
I'll take your word for
yeah.
that.
somewhere
Yeah.
in
How
New
would
York.
Ironside announce that Jose
Mark,
Ramirez thing?
Mark.
Mark, you've got to come in here. This
There's
man's
something
going to
like
go to prison. I just
could-
think so. Come here and watch. Yeah. But Heslop played for Stony Brook. Kelly II in his second season out of Florida State. He was originally signed by the Saints in 2019. So we're just trying to find bodies at this point. Now we can go back to the last loss that the Guardians incurred, in my opinion, was the most pathetic that I've seen.
how pathetic was it?
Yeah, talking
It
about
was-
a no-hitter, are you?
It's so pathetic that for the first time, I'm going to start questioning Francona.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
And usually, that I think that he's, I think that he's a really good manager. But I'm beginning to wonder if he wants to get himself released, if it's just
Yeah.
time for him to leave. You're
Yeah.
up, 3-2 going into the ninth inning. You have Class A in the game, and what happens? You have two opportunities to end the game, and both times they hit ground balls. One, a short ground ball to Rocchio at third, and he throws the ball in the dirt, and Cole Calhoun can't come up with it. And then the very next play with the bases loaded, a ground ball, and Rocchio fielded it cleanly and threw another short ball to first base, and Cole Calhoun couldn't handle it. That made it 3-3. And then Elvis Andrus, who always hits Guardians / Indians pitching, hit the single up the middle. It made it 5-3. That ended the game in essence. So the thing that makes it remarkable is that Rocchio is not a third baseman. He is a rookie second baseman, okay? And he's not a third baseman, and his arm's not stretched out, and both throws were just short. He short-armed those throws. He lacked the power in his arm, and he short-armed it. It's not his position. But what makes it doubly bad, we've got a 35-year-old Cole Calhoun, literally 35 years old, who had been in the minor leagues because his career, his 243 batting average career, was over with basically in Anaheim. And we found him somehow, like we always do with the garbage heap. And there's Cole Calhoun at first base. He never played there in his life.
Wow.
Not in his life. But wait, this gets
There's
better.
more.
Yeah.
Hey, there's more.
This is what I call incompetence. And I can't say it any other way about the manager of the baseball team. When they went to Cole Calhoun in the 8th inning, all right, and said to him, do you want to come out for the 9th inning? And he said, oh, no, I'll stay in. It's like Buckner. It's like Bill fucking Buckner in the World Series. Yeah, we want you out there to celebrate when the ball goes between your legs, you old fucker. How do you do that?
Yeah.
And it's like you said to him, since when does the player decide whether he stays in or he goes out? How does that work? And instead, he stayed out there, and he couldn't come up with either of those balls. They were lousy throws. The errors went to Rocchio, but you think 50% he could handle one of the two, but why could he? Because he's never played first base before, and I've just totally had it. I'm done with the Guardians. I don't want to hear about them. I'm not going to be watching them. And this isn't just a matter of, being a little shitty fan. I'm just sick and tired of going from, one guy to another, to another, to another. They're all old, washed up. They're not capable of doing things. Here's another one that just broke before the show. Guardians claim veteran outfielder released by Oakland. The Guardians claimed Ramon Laureano on waivers after he was designated for assignment. Laureano's 29 years old, and he's going to go right to the major league roster. Francona said that utility infielder David Fry, not the comedian, the guy who played all over the place, will go on the injured list when Laureano is activated because Fry strained his hamstring stretching for a low throw at first base in Friday's win against Chicago. Here's the deal. Laureano has spent his entire 6-year big league career with Oakland, batting .246 with 98 doubles, 7 triples, 68 home runs, 205 ribbies, and 53 steals in 471 games. All right. So if you figure you do it this way and you say, well, 471 games, that's the equivalent probably for a guy like that of 4 seasons. And if that's the case, 4 seasons, he averaged 17 home runs a year in that time. All right. So you're saying, well, that isn't so bad. But wait, there's more. He was originally selected by Houston in the 16th round of the 2014 draft and was traded to Oakland prior to the 2018 season. He missed parts of 2021 and 2022 after receiving an 80-game suspension after testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs.
It didn't work.
Now wait. So
There's
those
more.
were numbers based on being doped up. All right.
Okay. Yeah, I get
In
that.
2023, this year, he's hitting .213 with 6 home runs in 64 games. And he was on the injured list twice, once with a groin strain, no big deal. But before that, a right hand fracture. You think that has something to do with swinging the bat?
He punched a wall because he was sucking.
Oh, my God.
No, that's only 6 more home runs than Bronk has right now.
It's almost, you know what I wanted to do? Reading these stories, I want to do the late Gilbert Gottfried, and just try to turn it into a big joke, But I'm not going to do it because of my throat, It's like,
yeah.
But I will. I'll write some, material for that because Francona says Laureano arrives with a good reputation in the clubhouse and he is strong defensively, but he was not ready to reveal details on how he fits into Cleveland's plans and offensive lineup. And here's what Francona says, and it makes me wonder if he's going the Tony La Russa route. Where are my shoes? His offensive numbers, this is a quote from Francona. His offensive numbers are way down from what he's done before. There's so many moving parts with our team right now that I don't know because one move so often necessitates something else happening if somebody gets nicked up. Basically, what he's saying is, I can't understand why his numbers are way down. Could it be that he's not doping anymore and he has a fractured right hand? I mean, what's so hard to understand about that?
Did you talk about what the answer he gave when Zach Meisel asked him over Miles Straw why he wasn't pitch hitting for him?
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind when I was reading this. That's Tony La Russa-esque. That didn't even make sense, did it? Tell the people what he said.
Well, Meisel asked, who would you hit? That's what that's what Francona asked Zach Meisel. He said, "Who would you hit?"
And he gave him 3
that's okay.
guys.
Yeah.
And the 3 guys he gave him, what did Francona say back to him?
Oh, I don't even remember.
No, what he said to him was, well, I mean, that's what we're here for, not for what you're there for. And I mean, it's like, you know.
We're not trying to get home runs in that situation.
Yeah. It's just too frustrating. For me, it's just too damn frustrating. And the team is ripped by injuries in their pitching staff. And now the defense is just falling off the map because the manager is deciding that players decide whether they're going to go back in or not. He doesn't have a first baseman. He doesn't have a third baseman because he was resting Jose Ramirez. Never mind the fact that you needed to win the baseball game. You're 4.5 out now. And now the Twins are laughing their ass off, and that's all there is to it. It's over with. There's so many bad vibes within the Cleveland organization right now. Unhappiness about trades that were made and no hauls forthcoming. The management gave up on this team 1 year after they had a good year, and it's all right, Rev, I come back from not being around here, and here I am talking about the Guardians. It's like, but that's the fun part is just complaining about Cleveland sports.
Since you're not going to watch the Guardians, I actually am going to be there Thursday for the day game and get to watch Alek Manoah, who's 3-8 with a 5.72 ERA.
Oh, that's like the old days. That's like when we had
against Noah Syndergaard, who's 1-5 with a 6.75 ERA. I'm like thinking we could have a little fireworks here if anybody can hit worth a crap.
That might end up being a night game.
I want to sing the 7th inning stretch song differently. For it's 1, 2, then a ball, then another ball, one in the dirt and a walk. Next pitch. Hitter at the old ball game. The only thing I want to hear is Harry Carey talking about Noah Syndergaard. Do you know how long it's been since I did this horrible Harry Carey thing? Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Why don't I just send it back on his arc? Noah Syndergaard, make it stop. I mean, why? It's the last stop. Cleveland Guardians is the last stop. That and the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's the last stop.
That's where I'm going the end of the month.
Wow. Paige Palmer.
Paige Palmer. It's the Paige Palmer show. She's an old middle-aged woman who was doing stretching exercises, but really couldn't do yoga because she would have pulled something and she would have shrieked in pain. I can't believe that somebody else remembers Paige Palmer. That's amazing.
Why did I picture Dorothy Foldheim when her name came up?
Dorothy part-time. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Dorothy Full-time was a historic figure.
Yes.
Paige Palmer was a hysterical figure.
That was back when we were watching Romper Room those days,
Yeah, Miss Barbara.
Miss Barbara. I see you with my magic mirror, Mr. Boo.
Yeah, only I could remember Barnaby's Popo the Puppet song. I mean, my head. Seriously,
that's insane.
Popo the puppet can do anything. Swing on a swing. It was this horrible thing, and it was this cheap 50-cent hand puppet. And it's like, fuck Popo and pick your ass with it. Get it out of here.
I think I found something like that in my basement a number of years ago.
Yeah, but that's what we, in Captain Penny. and Captain Penny ended up committing suicide.
Oh,
You
they
know-
all drank heavily. All
Yeah.
these guys, they were all like on the bottle.
Yeah.
Working with kids can do that to you.
Hey, what was Captain Penny's signature line, Bronk?
Oh, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time.
No, that's wrong.
Oh, well, it was that Barnaby's.
No, that was Captain Penny, but you got it wrong. You
Well, I
can
got
feel
it
some of the
wrong.
people some of the
Some
time,
of the time.
and
But you can't
all-
fool mom.
and all of the
I
people
think-
some, but you can't fool mom. That's
You
right.
can't fool mom. Yeah.
Then, oh, children's television people killing themselves. I mean, it was painful.
Captain Penny.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, Moon-
And
Moon wants
somehow, and Jean Carroll.
Jean
Never
Carroll.
mind that the little girl on the end dropped her baton 77 times. It's like, this is what I was for. Who in the hell on Sunday afternoon at 1:00 is watching polka varieties
Oh God, that was a classic.
Everybody.
Come
on,
That was like
on
Soul Train for
WEWS television?
That was like
Well,
watching
yeah.
Soul Train for people in Parma. You know what I mean, that was like
And
They
how
probably
about
watched one- They probably watched a
Don
lot of-
Webster? Do you remember
Don
Don Webster and Upbeat?
yeah, American
a-
Bandstand, Shindig.
That was a bucket list thing to get on Polka Varieties. Come on.
Yeah.
Man. That was-
I bet a lot
No,
of people in Parma used to watch Lawrence Welk.
you know that half those couples never made it home from polka varieties. It's like
They-
they went straight
all
to the
got s-
hospital.
They
you
all
know?
went to the Soylent Green factory.
People are sitting here, what are they talking about? It's like we're old time Northeast Ohio people who watched, we watched
think-
Superhost, by God. We watched
think-
Superhost do news headlines. We were
I think Akron News radio station used to have like Saturday mornings that would play polka. I don't know if they still do, but
wow.
There's still a
I-
radio station in Toledo that does. They carry the. I want to say they carry the Ohio State radio broadcast, and then because I was listening to it, I remember going up there, and then Sunday morning on my drive, I'd staved over in Toledo, spent a week there one night, as they
Oh,
say,
yeah.
and then the next morning I turn on the radio, and it's 2 hours of polka. I was like, 2 hours? Who
That was
needs-
like right up there with Winter 100's Dial a Date.
There
Do you
you
remember
go.
that?
with Jim Albright.
Oh my God! I mean, Winter 100 had this shitty signal. It was technically licensed to Kent, Ohio, but it was playing
Howie
the Akron
Chiswick was
market.
out of there. Yeah.
Yeah, and what was unbelievable was I would tune it in just to listen to that monstrosity, and I go, enough of that nonsense.
They're still on the air today.
That show is still on.
No, not Dial a Date, but the station itself is still on.
Yeah, Winter 100. What do they call it now?
It's just WNAR, the Talk of Akron.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dial a
I
Date
don't think I
was.
could get that in Parma. I don't
They used
remember that
they
at
used
all.
to actually have like a swap shop, buy, sell, swap, and trade kind of show going on in the mornings too.
Wow.
And people would be calling in like, all right, you're allowed to do anything you can but sell chickens. And of course, the first guy would be trying to sell chickens or something like that. It'd be like, but
Was
you could
that
sell
during, like-
anything. I think you could sell anything but cars. I think that was the one thing they wouldn't let you could sell farm equipment, but no cars. But
Was
you
that
could
during
sell-
weekend mornings?
Rick May is saying, you see Gene Carroll and you think, wow, the host must moonlight as a funeral director. I mean, the scary part is all those women and people they had to suck his shriveled dick to get on the show. It was terrible.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't Webster cover for that after Gene passed for a while?
I wouldn't be surprised. Don Webster showed up in more capacities. He did weather, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yep. And he did Upbeat. And then, yeah, I'm sure he did.
Back
know
in the
his-
challenge.
What?
You know his
Back in the
weather
challenge.
catchphrase?
No.
His weather catchphrase was, "As you can see." He would point to the green.
As you
screen
can
of the
see.
ma-
Yeah,
As
I
you
guess
can
you're
see.
right.
As you can see. Yeah.
And,
point to
and,
the green
and,
screen.
and yeah, Charlie Miller.
See the USA.
He went to jail. He did. Seriously,
Why?
Charlie Miller got busted, and I don't know. It had something to do with a fraud, And it wasn't necessarily the car dealership, although it might as well have been. So he got to see the USA in a different way, from prison to prison. Oh God Almighty! It's a very strange landscape. Television in Cleveland was the highs of Goulardi and the lows of Jim Doney's Adventure Road. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we've talked about this before.
Jim
Somebody
Doney never had a fucking adventure in his life, you know? And then we come to the beautiful town of Bucyrus where, you know, I picked up a hooker. There was never any adventure. Who was watching this program?
Me.
And who was Jim Doney? Who was he?
Neil Zerker.
Very strange.
Yeah. He's no Neil Zerker.
No, I mean, and who's the guy who, the food guy who killed himself?
Oh God.
Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah, Anthony Bourdain. You know, I mean, I understand a guy who's got some chops. You know, going around and going to different cities and trying the cuisine, and you pay attention to him. But Jim Doney. I mean, today we're going to be in Spencer, Ohio, population 637. He's like, where's the adventure? Are you going to dig up a corpse somewhere? Tell me something good. At any rate, I digress and have digressed for some period of time. The Cowboys have cut Tristan Vizcaino, their kickers. They are having trouble in Dallas with kicking.
Wasn't he on the Guardians, Indians at one time?
Vizcaino, a different one.
Isn't there some Zendejas guy still around?
Zendejas.
And here's something I don't understand. Bucks linebacker Devin White says his trade request was a little selfish. Now stop and think about this for a minute. No, wait. I'm going to go the other way with this.
Okay.
Speaking for the first time publicly since requesting a trade this offseason, he's in season 4 of a 5-year, and they weren't going to negotiate a new contract with him, and he got pissed off and asked for a trade, right? I don't think there's no regret, White said when he asked about the request. I don't think it's just about being paid. It's just about being a guy who is drafted here, doing a lot for the team. Just want to be the long-term guy, you know, just want to be a guy like Levante David was. You know, I want to be that next guy. And, you know, we just didn't make it happen when I wanted it to. And that's why I got kind of a little selfish, even knowing I still had a 5th-year option. And that was a thing that was in place. You know, I don't want to hear players kneeling down before the great God owners, because the great God owners have already snubbed every running back who plays the game. They have devalued the position. They have conspired in the worst possible way. Price fixing is something that is sickening to me. And it's happening, and they're getting away with it. It is against the law, but they're above the law.
They are.
Well,
And-
hey, Moo, there was an article in the Indianapolis Star, Greg Doyle put it out, and it really had to do with Jonathan Taylor. And this is right on that same point. And they were talking about how Taylor, you know, wants to hold out, wants traded, all these other things like that. But the comment they made was the top, like 5 or 6 running backs, like only one of them last year even made the playoffs. It was like the thing that they said. It was like, you know, it was no big. It was not a big deal for running backs. Running backs are actually valued what they're worth, as weird as it may seem. And they said, name the last 5 Kansas City Chief running backs, because Kansas City has either won the Super Bowl or been in the AFC Championship game in the last 5 years. And I had to look them up. I mean, I honestly, it was like, I don't know who these guys are. They won because of Patrick Mahomes. It had nothing to do with the running backs. And they moved, you know, Tyreek Hill left and they still won a championship. I mean, that's kind of what his whole whole story was about. And that's part of the reason why nobody wants to sign a running back. And then the Browns come up and say, Chubb, who has been really successful, but he's never really played on third downs much. And then Stefanski comes out and says, well, the plan this year is to leave him in there on third downs. I'm thinking maybe the reason why he's been so successful is because he doesn't get that wear and tear of being in there for a third down. They had to change a pace with Hunt at least the last few years, and
is to me what it feels like is that quarterbacks have become not just the rage like they've always been, but it's panic, open market panic. And the fact that everybody said, oh, it's the guaranteed money thing about Deshaun Watson that really bothers us. But you notice now that Deshaun Watson is the number seventh best paid quarterback. Just like that, man. The fucking faucet got turned on. Panic. Outright panic. And that's what's happening. And so they got to get their money back somehow. So they're going to use analytics to show that running backs don't help teams win. And look, I understand you got to pass the ball down the field. But if you're a team like the Browns and you're fighting to be a team that gets over 500 and squeaks into the playoffs, that running back is very important to you. If you're a team like Kansas City, you had all these weapons and you had change of pace backs, they had holes because nobody was expecting them to run the ball, right?
Yeah.
But I don't want to see players.
Obviously, that must have been what it was, because it was like, and the other story that they were talking about, and this is also running back related. Sony Michel retired,
Yes.
which is 5 years in, something like that.
Yeah.
And Stetson Bennett played with him in college, and it's like, how old is Stetson Bennett? Is he Brandon Whedon years old? Is that what this is? I mean, when Whedon 28 as a rookie or whatever?
Yes. Yeah.
How Browns was that, man?
It really, yeah. He couldn't fight his way out from underneath the flag.
Oh, God.
The Lions just signed Teddy Bridgewater.
They assigned him to where?
They signed into the roster.
Oh, I thought you said assigned. I was going to say
No.
Alcatraz. Teddy Bridgewater, man, he has bounced around now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Look, and now it's like Kareem Hunt is going to visit the Saints. That they're looking for running back depth after Eno Benjamin was placed on injured reserve with a ruptured Achilles. Are you kidding me? Kareem Hunt, who was so promising, they're going to talk to him about Emo Phillips' position? Who in the hell is Eno Benjamin, for God's sakes?
I mean, no idea.
He ruptured his Achilles. He can't play. And so, Kareem Hunt is fighting desperately to find a job now.
Wow.
And, say what you will. I know the Browns aren't going to go back in that direction, but with Jerome Ford down, they better come up with something. And it better not just be the same crap. The guy whose name I intentionally forgot because I figured he still couldn't be on the team. The guy returns punts.
From UCLA.
Yep. Demetric Felton, yeah. I've just forgotten his name because he's a non-factor.
He's so memorable. Come on.
Yep. And the other thing is starting running back Alvin Kamara is suspended for the first 3 games due to a violation of the personal conduct policy of the NFL. So they got no fucking running back. And maybe we can talk to Kareem about this. And, it's like there's no urgency for Kareem Hunt anymore. They've just taken running backs and just excised them from the plan.
Has Dalvin Cook finally signed?
No.
Yeah, look at this guy who's been a top running back in the league. It was just, the part of that article about Indy and talking about Jonathan Taylor, guy had a freaking career year, but the problem was they had no offensive line, no quarterback, no wide receivers. Their defense was suspect. there was a lot of problems with that team. It's kind of like watching, Nick Chubb out there just dominating people with this great offensive line, which, God, could you imagine what a Kozar could have done behind this line back then with the
Yeah.
receivers he had? Oh my God. And I mean,
Yeah, well, we never put it together.
Yeah, in today's game, he wouldn't be fast enough. I mean, put that athlete of that time now, he would be killed on a regular basis, even with this line, but still.
So
yeah.
for Devin White, calling himself a little selfish, I will leave this program with the reason why what he said is foolish. To be a professional athlete is rarefied air as far as talent level goes. Here's a headline. Former number 2 overall pick Jabari Parker signs with Barcelona to play basketball. Jabari Parker was drafted number 2. He's 28 years old. He last played 2021-2022 season with the Celtics. He was drafted back number 2 in 2014, one spot after Andrew Wiggins. He averaged 14 points, 5.5 rebounds in 310 games in 8 seasons with 6 different teams. He was All-American consensus and ACC Freshman of the Year at Duke before turning pro. And now look at him.
Speaking of Spanish basketball players, did you see that
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Rubio's taking some time off.
Yeah, mental health. And, you wonder what's going on. One ACL tear is bad enough, but to try to come back from a second one, and he really started out like he was gonna get somewhere and do something, and then all of a sudden the wheels came off after like a week, and he was motionless. And I'm wondering if for a player it can be over in a flash,
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder, I don't know how long he suffered these kinds of issues, but maybe it's finally sunk in that he got nothing left to give. And at 32 years of age, that he's done. And that's a hard thing. Why do you think fighters fight too long? Nobody wants to admit. It's like, by standards, a 32-year-old man is a young man. I'm 66, for Christ's sake, and I'm not a young man. You're 32 when somebody tells you you're done, and worse yet, your body tells you that you're done. That's really that could be a reason. And
that's
maybe it just never came back for him. I don't know, but I wish him well. He sure played a great season. Before that injury, he really played well for the Cavaliers, and I thought he did a tremendous job. And for every player who has his moment in the sun, there are the Ricky Rubios who at 32 are wiped out, or the Jabari Parkers who just become nomads and go from country to country and try to just continue to play. There's way too much of that. And I'll just go off the air saying that the Texans minority owner, Javier Loya, is facing a sexual assault charges. He's a minority owner for the Houston Texans, multiple charges of sexual assault in Kentucky. According to court documents, Loya faces 1 count of first-degree rape, 5 counts of first-degree sexual abuse, and 1 count of third-degree sexual abuse. And the incident occurred earlier in the year as he was indicted on May 10th in Jefferson County Circuit Court.
That's Louisville, I think.
Jefferson County?
Yeah, I think that might be.
I don't know.
Nonetheless,
are
that's not good.
this is very serious stuff, and and the fact that he did the sexual assault in Kentucky. I'm going to leave it go.
Wow.
Look, what can I tell you? What I would tell you is manufactured homes are easier to break into. Enough.
That's definitely cool.
All right. That's the low point that we end the show on. And but hey, this week it's football again, man. And we play what? Is it Friday?
Yes. 7:30.
7:30. And we'll see if anyone is left to play. And
Have Summer League Championship. Brown's going to win the offseason, baby. Here we go. Preseason champ.
Yeah. And as far as I'm concerned, I'll be doing a halftime show. So let's see what we can discover. I want to see if DTR looks as good his second week as his first. I just want to see how it all moves along. And Bronk, Dick Goddard. It was raining cats and dogs in Northeast Ohio. And depending on where you were standing, you might have drowned or been struck by lightning. I have no idea what. I mean, Dick Goddard. I didn't listen to anything Dick Goddard said all the years. Again, he was just legendary because he was around for so long, doing what he did. But I don't know. I'm done. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks, David. Thanks, Hammer Time. Thanks to Tony the Calf. Thanks to Bronk. Thanks to the baby Jesus. And thanks everybody for being in the chat room. We had a nice audience today. And I see Bronk. You must have cut yourself off again.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know what happened. Something happened.
Say goodnight, Bronk.
Good night, Bronk.
All right. We're going to take off now.
Good night, Mary Ellen.
Until Friday at halftime. Hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.